everybody? How are you doing? Thank you guys for watching. Just talking with Johnathan Lewis. It is another beautiful Thursday. The weather's kind of a little gloomy or whatever. I guess it kind of pulled a little switcheroo on us there. But thank you guys for tuning in today and watching. Make sure while we get started, we got a lot of good things to talk about. So make sure you hit that little share button down there for me so we can get other people to watch. Also, just real quick to throw this out there, if you guys are interested ever in having sponsoring our show, you can have your business mentioned right here at the very front when people jump in. So make sure you hit me up for more information about that. Mr. Rush, I remembered it, and I don't think I'll forget now. I think I've got it embedded in me. I think we joke about it enough. I've got it. How are you doing, sir? How's your week been going?
I'm trying to make waves in these crazy days, man.
That's what's up. That's what's up. It's been a good week?
Oh, yeah.
Been productive?
Wonderful.
Yeah, you've been pretty productive this week.
Oh, I'm always productive.
Okay, that's what's up. Well, we got a good show going on. I've got a lot of things to talk about. A lot of things have really been happening. And, you know, just the news in general, whether it be new COVID stuff, which talking about COVID, just to mention it real quick, I don't know how many people are probably excited that they're talking about this, this other check coming through for people. I'm sure people are getting excited about that. But that's really not one of the things we're going to talk about too much today, just a little bit. But a lot of other interesting things are going on. It's kind of, there's so much that I really had to pick and choose which things I was going to discuss. Because there's just been a lot. And I swear, you know, I'm ready for the day that good things start to pour out into the news again. They will, soon enough. You know, I almost feel like I want to jump straight into it, but I kind of feel like I'm rushing it. It's part of that nervous thing that I always get, you know. Real fast, if you guys have been having a good week, let me know. I'm going to chat with you a little bit, too. Let's see. Normally we have a guest. We don't have a guest. But we'll have one next week. No worries. Moving on. I guess we'll just jump straight into the shit. What do you think? All right. First thing we're going to talk about in the news. 16-year-old kid and a 16-year-old boy in California was forced to take estrogen while he was in a detention center. And it was unknown to his parents that he actually had to do that. That's crazy because once they released him, they had him on, they gave him, if I'm not mistaken, a shot initially of estrogen. Then they gave him 13 days worth of pills that he took while he was in this detention center. There's multiple things about this that make this crazy, asinine. The fact first that this doctor was doing this, and let's back this up a little bit. The kid was in detention, in the detention center, because he had behavioral issues. This doctor decided he was going to diagnose the kid with, what is it? ODD. You know what ODD is, Mr. Rush? You ever heard of that? ODD?
Oppositional defiance disorder.
That is it. Oppositional defiance disorder. In other words, he was bad. So they had him in detention center. This doctor, for some reason, felt that estrogen, they tested the boy for testosterone, his testosterone levels. Now, mind you, he's a 16-year-old boy. They said his testosterone levels were a little bit elevated, which doesn't make any sense because he's a 16-year-old boy. Now, don't get me wrong, it doesn't mean that they're not elevated, perhaps. And I don't know, they didn't give any numerical value. So, but the assumption of this is that they weren't so high that this kid probably needed this medication, this treatment that he was undergoing by a doctor that wasn't really authorized to give him this treatment. They gave him 13 days worth of pills after the initial shot. And the reason that the parents found out about it is that whenever he was released, the boy started growing breasts. Gynecomastia, I think that's what it is. Gynecomastia, I believe, which is the formation of breasts in males. And this is a direct side effect of the increased estrogen levels. As a parent, I'm like, I don't even understand. They're suing the guy, the doctor, and the facility that he works at. What the hell's going on today? Mind you, this story is reported by the LA Times. I wanted to mention that. You know, I feel like this is just signs of, more signs of the wicked walking the earth. With all the other things we're seeing, the wicked is absolutely certainly walking the earth. Just crazy. Because apparently this isn't the only kid that this guy's done this kind of thing to. So I look at it and I'm like, okay, well, as a father, I'd tear somebody to pieces on that. But you got to be calm and collected and all that, you know, approach it the legal way and all that. But man, they didn't even know, the parents weren't even aware that he was diagnosed with this until after he was released. So they put him under 2 weeks of full estrogen treatment to increase his estrogen levels. The idea was that it was going to calm him down. Now, here's the thing. Medical doctors all over the place say that there is absolutely no sign that increasing the estrogen in anyone will cause them to calm. It will only have side effects that increase the production of certain body parts and, you know, different things like that. You're raising the hormone levels, so you already know what's going on. But it doesn't affect the way that your behavior is. I guess maybe he was experimenting, which if he was experimenting, other doctors that have heard about this report and mentioned on it have said things to the effect of that he was doing his own experimentation, which is illegal, because there's nothing that supports this idea. In fact, there are reports that say that this does not work, pretty certainly from what I understand. Now, you guys can look some more of that up, and you can post that down below. Drop those links. Let me know if you find more information about it, or if you find any more cases that this guy did. I don't even know his name, so just look it up. 16-year-old boy in California takes estrogen while in detention center. I'm sure you'll find it. Something will come up for sure. You know, you're a parent, Mr. Rush.
Yes.
What would your response be?
I would do exactly what you said. I would tear it up.
Tear it up. Tear it up. For real. And I just don't get it because people are bold today. They're just taking whatever chances they want with everything. It's like everybody's like, oh, COVID. You know, I don't care if I get caught. Really, I think really what's going on is we're seeing that the age of technology is actually working because people are finding out about things. They're learning more information. They're gaining more info. And even for how sometimes we can be so unintelligent or unwise to things, we are still as a whole starting to see this change in acquisition of information. Like, you know, even people who aren't the most intelligent beings still have the access to the information, and everybody's real quick to Google. The crazy part about it, you know, saying that prompts me to want to talk about Neuralink with Elon Musk, about, you know, what he's got going on. If you guys know about Neuralink, tell me what you know about it down below. Neuralink is a pretty crazy thing. From what I understand of what I believe I saw a video of him saying about it, it's basically a chip that's going to be implanted into the skull, and they basically remove a small piece and they put the chip in and they plug it directly into the brain, and it feeds information directly into the brain. So if you've seen anything about it recently or heard anything about it recently, look into it more, because it's really kind of a scary idea. You know what I mean? It's kind of a terrifying idea, really. And at the same time, it sounds like it's something that if it did happen and it didn't end up being some crazy off-the-wall action movie plot where, you know, we're trying to fight for our freedom to be released from this system, it sounds like it's got a lot of crazy advantages to it, to be real about it. You know, I think the thing to me that I find the most worrisome when we hear about conspiracy theories, not the ones that involve murder and all that stuff. Those things are always like, you know, we need to handle those things as best as I guess we're able to. But when you talk about things like technology, it all comes down to the person that controls the technology, the people that do, as to if it can be good for people or bad for people. You know, there have been cars, and this is coming back to a much more simpler idea of technology and people controlling it. If you don't know this already, this is not conspiracy. You can go find videos of the guy who did this. Stanley Myers has already made cars since the 80s run on water. On water. It's not some scary technology. It's not dangerous. It's something that's perfectly sensible that cars could have been doing on any water. You could literally take a piss in this thing and it would run on it, and it would run for a long time very efficiently. So look up Stanley Myers, look up Daniel Dingle, somebody from the 90s who lives in the Philippines. He made another car with a whole different design run on water, a Nissan Maxima. I believe it's a 94 Nissan Maxima. Technology, it's about who's wielding that power. You know what I mean? It's not about the technology itself, because think about it. Okay, so Neuralink supposedly is going to be able to plant into your skull, and it will give you instant information. You will be able to also connect instantly to the web to attain the information. So you're talking about within a matter of seconds. It's kind of like the Matrix, essentially. It's the Matrix. You will have instant information immediately. You'll hear music directly into your head. There will be no need for speakers anymore. Like, essentially, some of our senses just go bye-bye. Not really bye-bye, but we'll need them a little less. They can be used for the natural environment around us, which is crazy because, I mean, think about it. If you could have a phone conversation and nobody else would ever hear it unless they can pick up on your frequency of your chip or whatever. I'm not quite sure how that works, but you get the point. It's craziness, the future. It's already here, really, and it's already things of the past, the things that we're talking about discussing today. You know, have you been to Walmart during all this COVID stuff, Mr. Rush?
On and off, a couple times.
I have not been to Walmart. Was it you that was telling me about the robots?
No.
Somebody mentioned to me that there's robots now rolling around our Walmart.
No, I
In some of
definitely
the
haven't
aisles?
heard that.
Somebody told me that, and they said it was here. I was like, what? They said that there's some like small robots that I don't know what they're doing, but apparently they roll around Walmart and they do something. Not really sure what it is. If you guys know what those robots are doing, let me know. I imagine they're probably checking people's temperatures. Like, you're in their store, they have the right to do that. So they're probably rolling around testing out this future equipment. If they're there, I haven't been to Walmart in a while. But if they're there, let me know, because if you know anything about it, I'm not surprised by it, but I'm a little bit surprised if it's already here. Another thing about Walmart, if you didn't know, they're supposedly trying to transition into, I'm not sure how long for now, but at some point, literally having no cashiers, just all self-checkout, and more or less it's automated. They're moving us into that future that we see in movies. It's gradual. I don't think people realize that all of this stuff that's happening right now all plays a part in that. It's essential for us to be accepting of certain things as a whole in order for us to even consider living with them. Because, you know, if a bunch of people say, I'm not comfortable with these robots, eventually Walmart's going to get rid of the robots. But if everybody's going in and doing their stuff and nobody's saying anything about these robots, Walmart's going to keep rolling these robots and they're going to introduce more. And other places will introduce theirs. Fast food restaurants probably going to be doing the same thing a lot sooner than we think. You can already see ads for that on Facebook where they're looking for that. It makes me think about things when I start talking about the future and robots and technology and all that. It makes me think for how advanced things are that they show us, and they being the system involved. Is that the right way to put that? System involved? The system involved. How much stuff is there that we don't know of? I can tell you right now, anti-levitation, or no, levitating abilities, machines with that, they're already out there. You can find that on YouTube. You just dig enough. I promise you that. In fact, if you follow my page, move, fly, get on out of here. My guests for the day. Anyway, if you've seen my page at all, then you've seen a lot of the stuff I've shared. Levitating devices are already a thing. And I don't just mean like these little hobby things, but that's kind of somewhat what they're based on. But that fly really just landed like right on the lens. Did you guys see that? Did y'all get that whole big old monster fly in the screen? No? Oh, okay, cool. All right, good, because he's sitting right there. It's funny. Anyway, all these devices are there. And you're talking about when you see these videos of people talking about them, this is from the freaking 80s. They're like, we discovered this. They're using liquid metal like nickel and mercury and stuff and sending a current through it, and it causes this crazy, it moves it. The current runs through it because it's liquid metal, causes it to move at a velocity, and with an electromagnetic field that levitates it off of the surface. And they've duplicated this with nuclear things. I sound more and more like a conspiracy theorist, right? But I promise you, I wouldn't be that serious about talking about it if it wasn't already there.
It's a good thing we just talking.
It's a good thing we're just talking. Don't go anywhere, guys. We're going to be right back. We got a 1-minute break, so don't leave. Make sure you hit that share button for me, because for some reason, Facebook is trying to block me from sharing in groups. So hit that share button for me. Hit that like, comment. Let me know your conspiracy. What technology you know about that I might not know about. We'll be right back. business is ready for the next level of marketing. Having the right tools in hand can help catapult your business into the place it deserves to be. From custom commercials that are ready for broadcast to the professional voiceover that you need for your business phone recording or a radio commercial, we build it all in-house. Sign up with us today and see how all of our plans offer exactly the tools that you need. And more importantly, they don't break the budget you set for marketing. Call and visit us online at lookandloden.com today. Let's get your business to the next level. lookandloden.com. We cover all of the details. Wax, wash, and shine, your vehicle is guaranteed to come out shining. Let us pay attention to the detail. We're here to vacuum wash and deodorize your vehicle on a professional level. Don't leave it to the other guys to miss things. We see them all. Do you have a fleet of vehicles? We're equipped to take on all the vehicles your business has too. Keep your business vehicles looking the best they can. Stop by today and schedule with us or message us on Facebook. Full Throttle Detail, located at 1601 Northwest Sheridan Road in Loden. And we're back. Told you it was just a minute. That's quick, wasn't it? Was it a whole minute? Whole minute. See that? Didn't take that long. I hope in that short time y'all hit that share button for me. Yeah? Oh, no, you know what? I was about to plug us like it was the end of the show. See you guys tonight or see you later. Or tricking the whole thing off. Look at that. It's because it's not time. I'm going to move right into the next thing. Everybody knows about what's going on with Kanye West. Presidential candidate Kanye West. He had his first campaign meet the other day, or campaign event for running for president, and he had some interesting things to say. He said, you know, he made the comment that everybody's heard now, where he's talking about Harriet Tubman didn't free the slaves. She just took them to work for other white men. Man, I mean, given the climate of things, he's always said some kind of crazy stuff, you know what I mean? But I'm just more like, I'm a little dumbfounded at his, I'll say it like this. The videos that I saw, the clips that I saw of what was taking place, he was kind of scatterbrained in some ways, but not really entirely scatterbrained, but he was just really random about some of it. The whole comment with Harriet Tubman, I think a lot of people would disagree with it, and then you have some other people who would agree with it. And my feelings towards it are kind of like, it's true and false. Because she did free slaves. And ultimately, I think that where he's getting at is that, but she took them to a land that's still controlled by white men. And so, you know, they essentially just went to work for other white men. Not to say that they didn't have more ability to come and go as they pleased, perhaps, given the circumstances of the time. But I think ultimately what he's trying to say is that, you know, this isn't a land of black people. So you can't say that they're truly free because they're still underneath, especially given, like I said, the time and the system and how much worse it was even back then than it is today. It's bold. And honestly, I think that the statements that he's making are nuts. So then he goes on and then he's talking about, he gets on the topic of abortion. And surely you've seen the video by now of him where he was crying because he broke down crying talking about abortion. I can understand the sensitivity behind the issue. And I can understand if he has personal issues with it. So I don't want what I say to be taken as if I'm trying to trash talk Kanye in this regard, because I'm not. You know, if he broke down, it's because it was sensitive to him. He was talking about how his father wanted to abort him, and how he had, I guess, kind of in the same manner, wanted to abort one of his children, his daughter. But of course, you know, they didn't. So it touched his heart a lot. But my concern for this is not so much about the things he was saying, yes, about them, but more about like his posture. You're talking about running for the president of the United States. If you have your issues, that's understandable. But when you're talking to the people, I personally feel like you should be talking to the people in a way that makes them feel comfortable, that makes them feel like you have control of things, not like you don't have control of things, in a way that makes people feel like you're going to protect them and you're going to teach them as well and lead them in the ways of learning how to overcome things, not how to have a session right here with the people. because, you know, they're not therapists. The effect that came after that, of course, is Kim Kardashian and her mom apparently wanted this freaking fly. Oh, out of here. This freaking fly is killing me. Anyway, the Kardashians, Kim Kardashian and her mom, apparently tried to have him put away in like a mental home or something. They had a doctor. I guess they were trying to have a doctor evaluate him. So, and apparently it really upset Kim to the point where she was even talking about possibly not letting him be around the kids or something like that. Now, I'll have to research that some more because I read that in like one of them tabloid articles about it all, so I'm not really certain the validity behind that. But from what I do understand is that she was upset, especially when he went like the next day or two later and had that whole crazy tirade of Twitter posts. Half of them didn't really even make sense, if not more than that. They were kind of all over the place. It was really, really crazy. But the point that I'm trying to get to is, as somebody running for president, you cannot, and supposedly the greatest country in the world, you can't show that kind of face because you're America when you're the president. You represent all of the strongest parts of what we're supposed to be. That's why we vote you in, because out of all of the people who had the ability to run for president, you're supposed to be the one that says, I am the example. And that's why I talk to all my people and we discuss things together and then we go from there. But they let me come forward because I can represent us in the best way that a country could be represented by a person. I don't think that this is the example. It just doesn't, to me, it just says that when times are going to get tough, those issues are going to haunt you. I ain't trying to dog him as a person. Everybody has their issues. I had my own issues. I had to get over my own things. Everybody does. And some people aren't able to get over them. Some are able to get over them and thrive and do extremely well because of the experiences. But in the middle of your first campaign event, and then ultimately he walked out of it too, if I'm not mistaken. I think people started like booing or chanting or saying something towards him, and then he ended up walking out. Or he said something and then pretty much just walked out. The articles I read said that he ended it pretty abruptly. So I don't know. If you guys look at the picture and then tell me what you think, if that rings president to you. You know, and like I said, I'm not trying to dog him as a person, but a president is a leader and a representative of all of the people here. I don't want somebody going to do business deals, going to do whatever kind of deals with anybody under any circumstance representing me that is still working through things. And he's older than I am. I'm 36. You know, and that's not to say there's an age limit on when you figure your stuff out, but what I'm saying is if you're running for president, you should already have something about yourself that says I'm able, or I've already gotten past things and I've learned enough to feel experienced to be able to do this. I'm going to move on from that. COVID. Yeah, you know COVID. Okay, so this is actually, I guess, for people who are looking for the vaccine, this is good news. There are 2 companies that are doing very well with their trials, supposedly. The first one being Moderna. They've been running a study, and they did a study from 18-year-olds to 55-year-olds. There have been apparently minor side effects, mostly being headaches, and I think that was pretty much the primary effect that people were having, is they're complaining of severe headache. Or maybe not severe headache, but headache enough that they complained about it. What this vaccine is doing is it's triggering antibody production in our body. So they're saying it's doing it well, and it's actually doing what it's supposed to do. They're continuing that trial, and then according to what their trial is, or what it's saying, it's actually triggering more antibody production than convalescent plasma does in the body. The next one is AstraZeneca. I'm sure you guys have heard of these companies, Moderna and AstraZeneca. You've heard of them, Mr. Rush?
No, I'm not really big on
Pharmaceuticals and stuff like that?
pharmaceutical corporations.
Okay. AstraZeneca is like I believe they're a UK-based company, but I can't remember what other medications they've done, but I remember a commercial saying AstraZeneca, and I feel like I remember a butterfly or something. I don't know. Maybe that's a different one. I don't know. Anyway, the University of Oxford and AstraZeneca are teamed together, and they are working on a vaccine. Their vaccine actually does like it's like a double whammy because it's doing the antibody production, but it's also doing T-cell production. So it's working extremely well in comparison to the other one, which they've done this study on over 1,000 people, like almost 1,100 people, something like that. And they're saying that it's working so effectively that within 2 weeks of taking it, they're seeing a drastic change in the people that have taken it. So that's huge. The most common side effects with that one are fatigue and headaches. So it sounds like headaches is going to be something we have to get ready for if you take that vaccine. You know, and I'm still kind of in the air about the vaccine, how I feel like taking it, if I feel like I'm going to take it. You know what I mean? It's just so wishy-washy. Oh, my God, what is going on here? What is going on here? Get on out of here. You know, here it is. See this? They're going to take the whole show from me. Freaking flies. Ah, and I'm sweating. Okay. So, yeah, anyway, AstraZeneca, University of Oxford. These flies are throwing my whole attention span off. Y'all see I'm like a fish.
Shoe fly.
You got like a 3-second memory. What's the word I'm looking for? See? Fucking fish. All right, anyway, COVID. You know, I remember I made that COVID cola joke one day. I was like, you can put COVID in front of anything. It sounds right. COVID cola. I was talking to somebody the other day, Brandon, I believe, over at Full Throttle. And I think he'd said something about COVID cookies or something like that, or COVID candy. I think that's what it was. He said something, he was like, oh, COVID candy or something. Because yeah. Anyway, it was a funny thing. But it really works. COVID goes with anything, you know, almost. There was a lot more information that I had with COVID too, and I really didn't want to talk about it this week, so I didn't put it on there. I didn't put it in my little list. I should have, because it was really a lot. Really
Let's just go with some COVID.
COVID. So, you know, man, you just booped me. Boop. If you don't know what the boop is, when somebody's talking, in the middle of them talking, just go, boop.
All train of thought out the window.
They'll be like, wait, what? And they'll completely forget. So, guys, the next time your girl's nagging you, you might have to do this a little extra loud. You might have to do it a little extra loud, because if she's nagging you, you know, then she's probably getting loud with you already. But give it a shot. Brace yourself. Brace yourself. That might backfire, but it could be funny too. I'm just saying, it could turn into a good moment. Make sure you got your camera rolling. You know what I mean? Send them videos to me if you're actually bold enough to do something like that. I don't see me doing that I'm trying to stay alive longer than that. Fortunately, I don't have a woman to have to worry about that with yet. Not right now. I'm going to wait to move on to that one. And that one. Oh, another soldier on Fort Hood, as if you haven't heard yet, has been found dead. He's off of Fort Hood is where they found his body. I think near a lake, if I'm not mistaken. He's a 26-year-old male. I don't have his name. I don't really give a lot of people's names when it comes to certain things, just because I feel like the privacy is something, it means something to me. So even if, you know, the whole world isn't watching the show by chance, you know, on that day that they're not watching the show, then I just, you know, I don't want them to get swamped with stuff, the family and all that. So, you know. But anyway, another body. That's 3 in like a month. It's like there's something going on over there at Fort Hood, and it really, really, really needs to be investigated, and they're investigating these individual things. But if it turns out to be something related to another soldier, I feel like maybe there should be much more investigating going on here. Just saying. Because that's 3 in a month on the same military base. That's just not common, is that? It's not. Like, how frequently do you hear about somebody dying on a military base as it is? I mean, natural causes, and you don't really hear about that either, because, you know, but when you talk about homicides or something like that, that's a whole different thing. Like, that doesn't happen on, not to say it doesn't happen, we hear about it, but this is pretty, like, somebody's being really bold. I would not want to be posted there and dealing with people. I'd be staying in my barrack or whatever, and they'd be like, Lewis, get out here and do your stuff, and I'd be like, sir, well, I guess you have no choice, you got to do it. I wouldn't make friends with too many people, I think. Hell, that might even end up making you a victim. Who knows? Craziness. we're taking a break. He says wrap it up. We'll be right back. Don't go anywhere. We've got another minute. Hit the like, the share button. Do that for me right now. I'd love to see 1 million shares on that thing. It'd be great. I'll give y'all virtual high fives. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. Just for canines and kitty too. We have all of the best items for your cat, dog, pup, or kitten in stock. From pet beds to toys, we have everything you can think of. We carry the best selection of pet hygiene products and a huge selection of cat and dog foods. Spoil your pet by letting us give them the full treatment from massage to complete bath and grooming. We also offer our mobile grooming services. Be sure to stop in today or give us a call. Just for canines and kitty too. Your pet's favorite place to go. Your small business is ready for the next level of marketing. Having the right tools in hand can help catapult your business into the place it deserves to be. From custom commercials that are ready for broadcast to the professional voiceover that you need for your business phone recording or a radio commercial, we build it all in-house. Sign up with us today and see how all of our plans offer exactly the tools that you need. And more importantly, they don't break the budget you set for marketing. Call and visit us online at lookandloden.com today. Let's get your business to the next level. lookandloden.com. And we're on. We're back. I love this job. It's great. I just sit here and wait for the break to be over and then come back and talk some more. Oh, I forgot to turn my volume down. Hopefully my boss don't get on to me. I'm over here talking about loving my job. So next, Rey Mysterio. If you watch wrestling and you're a wrestling fan, Rey Mysterio, you know, the high flyer, the jumper, the one that does all the crazy stuff. Used to anyway back in the day. I'm pretty sure he might still, but he's a little bit older now. When I was a teenager and he was wrestling, he was the high flyer of the time. Apparently, a while back, and if you're a wrestling fan, you already know about this. He had his eye injured. Okay, so he was wrestling with Seth Rollins. It was a match against Seth Rollins, and what ends up happening is Seth Rollins takes him and like rams his head into the steel steps at the corner of the ring on the outside of it. It injures Rey Mysterio's eye. So, you know, a little bit of time passes and, you know, they do the whole wrestling thing and they say, you know what, rematch and, you know, and they called it an eye for an eye. The match it was the eye for an eye match. What ends up happening is they go back and forth and apparently there's a lot of stuff. Rey Mysterio has the same move happen to him again and it really pops his eye out. Let me scoot over a little bit. You know, people today still say it isn't real. Some people do, but I'm pretty sure he really got his eye popped out. It seemed apparently to be so real, which honestly I believe it is. I don't think it was intended to happen. I think it kind of got a little out of hand, well, maybe a lot out of hand and carried away, or maybe they really had a grudge with each other because of the first match, because he really got injured. Seth Rollins goes off on the side when he sees this, what he's done to Rey Mysterio, who instantly, you know, rolls over and starts screaming in pain, and the refs run over there, and they hauled him out fast. Seth Rollins throws up all over the side of the ring. It was if they faked it, it looked pretty realistic. You know, who knows? It's wrestling, but they think that supposedly what might be going on is Rey Mysterio, his contract is coming to an end. And so what's happening is this is how they're writing him off. He's going to have this permanent eye injury. He won't be able to wrestle anymore. He'll have one eye, and he's lost an eye. Now, if it's not real, the injury, then that makes perfect sense why they would go about it this way, because they're about to write him out of the whole thing. If it is real, that's a horrible way to end your career. Like you're talking about your last match, you lose your eyeball. I get loving your job. I do. I love my job, but man, I'm not gonna walk around. Walk around. I'm not gonna walk around with my camera. I'm not gonna walk around with my cameras all day, you know, for the hell of it. And then, you know, I don't know, what's the dramatic thing with a camera? There's nothing. Nothing compares to losing your eyeball on a set of metal steps. You just got to find a better way to call it quits. If you ask me, this is horrible, horrible luck. I wish him the best, though, you know, because that sucks to go through something like that. So, eye for an eye. That's one way to put it. You know, but the horrible thing is he didn't win. He didn't even get an eye for an eye. He just got his eye hurt and then lost it. Yes, bad deal. Moving on. Federal judge Esther Salas of New Jersey, if you haven't heard already, a man dressed as a FedEx driver walks up to her front door of her home, rings the doorbell. Her son answers the door and is instantly shot by the person dressed as a driver, and then her husband is also shot. She was in the basement of her home when this happened, so nothing happened to her. The FedEx driver turns out not to be a FedEx driver. Actually turns out to be a self-proclaimed male or men's rights attorney, Royden Hollander. They find him a day or so later, maybe a day or two later. I want to say it was the next day almost. I feel like it was in the news that quick. They find him dead at home with an apparent gunshot wound. He committed suicide. They've ruled it as a suicide thus far, but they've also connected him to another murder of a men's rights activist in California. They said that he took an Amtrak all the way across the country from New Jersey, all the way across the country to California to kill this person. Mark Angelucci, or Angelucci. I said Angelucci. I feel bad for that because there's two C's there. It's clearly Lucci, right? Angelucci? Angelucci. Yeah. So now I'm like, okay, now here's where this gets a little crazier. Esther Salas, federal judge, she is the one in charge of the hearing right now. That is, she's overseeing the hearing right now that is going between the Epstein, that's tied to the Epstein accounts and the bank. I can't remember what country is that. I think Switzerland. What's the country that everybody has the bank accounts in that nobody? Switzerland? Yeah, I think that's it. She's actually overseeing a whole court case for that. So they didn't release that initially. That didn't come out till like the day or the next day or 2 days after that she's tied to this thing that way. There's a lot of red flags with that. I mean, think about the whole thing going on with Epstein right now. All of the people who are about to be told on and ratted out and that are about to go to jail. Yeah, I think that there was, obviously, this is a hit job. And if he was the hit man, he either killed himself because, you know, he realized he failed at what his job was. And, I mean, when somebody hires you as a hit man, you don't fail because you're probably going to have a hit out on yourself, right? Something like that. Or maybe he felt so bad that, you know, whatever. But here's what's crazy is that they investigate his home. They find his body. They investigate his car. And when they search through his car, they find a hit list of 6 people. It's got 6 people on it. It has Salas on there. It has another judge, Judge DiFiore. I think that's what it is, DiFiore. And then a doctor and a couple of other people. I can't remember who the other people were that they'd mentioned in these articles I read. The dude was supposed to be an attorney. If he's an attorney, what possessed him to become a hitman? Because it's not like he was an unknown attorney. Apparently, he was well enough known that he had a name in New Jersey and people knew who he was. Apparently, the threat has been taken so real. Obviously, it's a very real threat that Governor Cuomo has actually ordered for her to have security, added security, 24/7, as it should be, given the circumstances, especially given the cases that she's handling. Okay, so crazy shit, you know. Oh, another thing, the killer had actually been recently diagnosed with cancer, and I believe the doctor that was on his hit list was his doctor. It's crazy. Moving on. The U.S. demands China to close its consulate in Houston as tensions are increasing between the U.S. and China. You know, there's so much going on since COVID has come out. We're seeing a lot of, like the Chinese company Huawei, they're using 5G to basically steal information. All these Chinese apps are stealing information from us, and the consulate itself has apparently been doing like spy work and attaining information to the point so where once the U.S. demanded that they close the consulate, there were local reports and TV networks that went there the fire department was called to the consulate by people who were looking from the outside because they saw smoke coming out of the consulate. They weren't allowed to come in because the consulate does not operate under U.S. control. It operates under Chinese control. So they didn't have to let the fire department in. They were burning information. There were reports of people who were able to see the people that were burning things, and they were hauling paperwork, files, and things like that, I guess, and burning it in a big pile. Sounds like they need to close. What do you think, Mr. Rush?
That's crazy because they can burn whatever they want and nobody can go in there and say anything different. So there's no telling what they're burning, what they have already burnt, or what they will continue to burn.
Exactly.
So, until Friday.
Exactly. And the crazy part about it is everything's crazy about it. I mean, they're calling this the new Cold War. They're saying this is the new Cold War that's brewing up right now. And if you look at all the things taking place, I mean, realistically, in my mind, I'm already trying to prepare for something like that. Not for the Cold War, just the information war, because there's always more to it. It's about control. I mean, realistically, as human creatures, we like to think that all the lands are conquered and everybody's got their piece. That ain't how it is. This is a whole world. And everybody wants to have all of the stuff that they want, and all the stuff that you want comes from resources. It doesn't come from our TVs and the stores that we go buy stuff at. We're consumers. For us, the world is about consumption. For rulers, the world is about ruling. You conquer lands, and you do that you evolve with the times. You know, we're not Neanderthals anymore. We're not swinging big old swords around, chopping people's heads off, and we're not necessarily, but we're not doing it in battles and wars. I mean, we're using technology. You know what I mean? Look, we got drones and all that. That you don't even have to be in the same country. You could be sitting there more or less acting like you're playing a video game and be blowing things up for real. That's a whole different kind of war. The most important part of that war is the information. Why is the information the most important part, do you ask? I'll tell you. The reason that the information is the most important part is because when you know what the other people know, then you can learn faster what they don't know. Or you can take what they've got and you can progress more quickly, but you just got to skip a lot of steps for things that you didn't have perhaps. Like Russia was apparently recently caught hacking into the system for I think the UK, trying to steal their coronavirus information, the data that they've been collecting and learning and all that. It's a lot of computer shit going on right now. We need to become more computer savvy and less phone savvy. You see, this is how they get us. They being the installment. They get us because we get these devices and we feel very equipped. We feel like we are the future because I can learn anything like that. Who needs school now? I can literally just say, what's the question? Here's the answer, thanks to my device. But when you're the ones who are controlling that flow of information, where it's going, who can see it, when they can see it, if they can see it, these things are nothing. Like I said, we're the consumers. We're the ones this is the future, the product. We're the end result. We are when they devise tests and methods and experiments and they say, let's see how it works, we're the ones that make the changes because they're changing us. So they set these things in place, whatever puzzles they are, and then we change over the course of time. You're talking about most social experiments. You know, if you watch it in social media, they happen like that. A matter of minutes, stop a few people, ask a few questions, stop a few people, ask a few questions. But when you're talking about on the grand scale of things, especially if you've already run enclosed experiments and you want to change the way a population thinks, you slowly implement because it takes gradual exception for the mass. See, whatever change you're trying to make, you have to make people want that change. Technology is where it's at. So that's why this whole Cold War thing is important. And more so because of the technology that's there. I mean, I would tell you guys about this alien video. I've shared it a number of times, actually. If you guys watch this video, one, I wouldn't probably sound crazy talking about alien videos. Two, you would have sound effects. See that? Believe that he actually did that with his mouth. He didn't have a sound effect for that. He did that. That's talented. I remember in junior high, there was this kid, I can't remember his name though. He was like, man, I could sound like an electric guitar. And he did this whole thing with his lip, like, I can't even do it. And but it sounded like guitar. I was like, what? That's cool. All these years later, I still can't do it. Huh?
He did a good job.
Yeah, he did a really good job. Like, it sounded like, and he did like this whole little melody and his fingers like, and the way he made the sound was like, wow, man, that's pretty good. I can't do that kind of stuff. So, U.S. and China. So what does it mean for the future of us? If they're closing the consulate, China says that we're breaking the law by asking them or by telling them to close the consulate. We're breaking international law, and they've threatened retaliation. What's that mean? What do you think that means? Like, I mean, they're threatening retaliation. Does that mean, well, we're going to make you close the consulate? We're going to make you shut down an embassy? Like, nah, man. It just seems like it's going to be a lot worse.
That's too broad, right? That's too broad of a statement.
Threatening retaliation. That just says so many things. Like, they're going to throw grenades at somebody, you know what I mean? Are they, you know what I'm saying? Like, it could be anything. Are they going to start dropping viruses in our computers? Or, you know, on the earth? Hell, I don't know. I mean, hell, they got labs over there for it. We know that. Yeah. So, are we on the brink of war? It's hard to say. If you think we're on the brink of war, you know, just tell me your thoughts in general down below, because I'm really intrigued to know what everybody's thinking about this particular topic, because this is very real for us. You know, back in the day when Russia and the U.S. had the Cold War, people back then had to be ready for things. And I wonder today how ready people really are for if something was to happen. You know, if something changed all of a sudden where it's like we're no longer just focusing on trying to get through this virus thing, but we're really focusing on, wow, the relationship with the U.S. around the world is changing. Not everybody's happy about us. Most of the world's trying to unite and do away with this virus one way or the other, and here we are over here, not. We won't even, you know, you can literally eliminate this virus city by city. In fact, that's how it has to be done, city by city. And we're not even trying to do that. There's not one city yet in the course of 6 months that could say, we don't have the virus anymore. Not even the small towns that had it, the smaller places that are reporting it, can say that they don't have it because they're still spreading it. The question is why and how? What are we really concerned about the virus going away? Everybody, oh, we need to be able to go back to school. We need to be able to go to work. This is crazy. They're doing the economy like this, da-da-da-da-da. But what are we as a people doing to make it where we can go back to whatever normal is left or comes next? You know, right now the normal that we're seeing is the masks. Obviously, everywhere is starting to mandate them. But what's next from there? What is the norm? When those vaccines come out, are we going to be forced to take them? And if so, is the whole world going to be forced to take them? Bill Gates, Melinda Gates. Okay, so Trump just pulled all of our funding from the World Health Organization. We're no longer funding them. We were the top source of funds for the World Health Organization while we were funding them. The next two top funders are the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, and then some company that starts with a G. I can't remember what it is, but it's owned by Bill Gates. So we pulled our money from WHO. So now the top two people or agencies or places, businesses, whatever, that contributors to the WHO are the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation and that company he owns that starts with a G. Can't remember what it is, like Gates or something like, not Gates. No, it's not Gates. It's something else. It starts with a G though, and I think it has a Z in it. Can't remember. Anyway, but what Trump did was he pulled the funding from them, gave it to Bill Gates. He just, something like along the tune of $16 billion is what he's talking about giving him. $16 billion to push for the vaccine. I don't really know what to think about that, because everybody knows that Bill Gates has a mission to depopulate the earth, and now it seems like he's being further pushed into this position of being able to determine the future for all of us. And he wants to mandate vaccines for every single human being in the world. You know, the only plus side that it sounds like that there is to the multiple businesses that are making these vaccines is that maybe we'll get a choice and maybe one of those businesses isn't out to get everybody, like it seems like the rest of the world is. We already talked about that. Oh, we're down to the last thing, aren't we? Yeah, we are. Speaking of.
Speaking of oh yay.
Oh yay.
Speaking of yay.
Yay.
Miss Taylor. Kanye.
Oh, yeah.
There you go.
Kanye West is running for president. Yep, right. We talked about that. But speaking of Kanye, oh, see, it's not, it loses its impact because I didn't remember it. See that? I'm not, I couldn't do stand-up comedy. Mr. Rush could do stand-up comedy. Let me tell you, he had my face hurting yesterday, and I want to say the joke, but I would totally tear it up, and it just wouldn't be presented right. And then it's his material, so what kind of shit is that? Okay, so Taylor Swift releasing a new album. For those of you who like music, Miss Taylor Swift is releasing a new album. She wrote the whole thing over the course of COVID times. During these COVID times, she wrote a whole new album. She's got 16 tracks on there, and if you buy the deluxe copy of it, you will get an additional track, so a bonus track. Now, you can see the list of all of the names right there of the tracks, and I think this is obviously the back album art. This is what she posted directly on Instagram. So if you're into music and you're into Taylor Swift, there you go, and make sure that you let Kanye know about that in his fan pages. I'm sure that will interest him. He might even talk about that on his campaign trail. Remember that time when I went up on stage and I was a horrible judge of something that everybody else voted on, and I mean, just another thing, another reason to give him that vote. Please don't give him that vote. I'm just saying. Okay, so the good stuff. A judge has ruled that Ghislaine Maxwell, are you ready for my news voice? A judge has ruled that Ghislaine Maxwell must release 80 documents. What did I write? All with hundreds of pages related to the Jeffrey Epstein case within a week. That's a floodgate. About to open up. Hopefully she doesn't die before that happens, right?
I mean, I hope so. Because
then how do they get them? Like, for real, like, hopefully she really doesn't. Like, this would be something to change the world, and we need it, and there's a lot of things that are happening in the world that if they don't stop, the world's only going to get worse. And this whole pedophile thing that we're seeing taking place right now in the U.S., all across the world, really, like, we're seeing everywhere. People are getting busted left and right. There was a kid, I think it was I can't remember where it was at. Agents were searching for this kid, and in finding this kid, they found 28 other kids. This was like 3 days ago. That's crazy.
That's crazy.
That's what I'm saying. And the thing is that 28 other kids, that's the smaller numbers of the types of stories that we're seeing that they're reporting that this many kids were saved, this many kids were saved. But they're being saved. Now, what I want to hear is the stories about them getting to go home. I really want to see that they're being saved. I really want to hear something about these things. And I get we're not just going to follow these kids around with cameras. There's far too many, and these investigations and all this are huge deals. But I want to start hearing something about the victims that lets us know and will plant that seed in us. This is, if there was ever a seed to be planted, this is the one that needs to be it. That will plant that seed to make people stay diligent about prosecuting every single person involved in any of this. It needs to be. They need to be. The whole world is really, you can look at the world, and for all the good things about the world, you can look at the bad things. And ultimately, I think that what we're finding is that you can tie these all to something that everybody has joked about for a long time. Everybody's made jokes about it, and because they didn't really understand the history of it. But that secret cult, or secret organizations that JFK was talking about, the secret ancient sex ring, child trafficking ring that Trump mentioned, that no reporters today still are really asking much about, that they said that they're working on. It's the Illuminati, guys. That might sound a little bit conspiracy theory, but it's the Illuminati. It is. They've called it many different things, but it is the Illuminati. Look back through the history of the Illuminati. It's not just something that, it's like people thought, oh, Illuminati happened way back then, and no more. It's not like once the secret came out about the Illuminati that they just dispersed and disappeared, and there was no more Illuminati. They're very real. They control the world. They've been controlling the world for a long time. This is not, and it's not a conspiracy theory. Somebody's going to be like, man, you're going to have to show me some links and give me some proof, and I'm going to tell you what I would have told. Well, I'm going to tell you what I'll tell you today about that. Go look it up. go look it up. Go search for it. Go find it. Dig it up. Prove me wrong. I want you to prove me wrong. As a matter of fact, find anything that really proves it. I'm going to find something to give you back. But I'm not really about to just sit here and just give you a bunch of links and all that stuff right now. Like, I'm just not about to do it. Because many years ago, I was already trying to tell people about this, just like other people were trying to tell people about this, and other people 20 years ago. And some even further than that. I mean, hell, the book 1984 talked about a lot of this. I'm just saying. It's real. And we're seeing it now. And we're seeing how ingrained in our culture, in our system, in our politics, in our world, this thing has been. And the few people who've ever tried to speak out about it committed suicide, got killed. You know, it's time for us to all together say, you know what? Enough is enough. If it's a conspiracy, damn it, I'm going to look it up and I'm going to find out for myself. Because when everybody finds out, everybody will finally put their foot down to make those changes that have to happen. And if we don't, then we're going to continue to see the things we've been seeing. They'll only grow worse. We'll only become more controlled as a people as a whole. We like to think we're free right now, but yet we live under a land of laws, which is sensible. We're free enough that we feel free, that we're truly free enough to do whatever we feel like doing, but there's consequences, right? But how's that going to change with things like COVID? How's that going to change with things like this whole ring of people that are embedded in the system once all this starts to pass, if we don't make changes now, if we don't come together, if we don't start letting those that we have been afraid of, man, for I don't know how long, if anybody says something, then they would get you. So nobody wants to say anything because they don't want them to come looking for them. Well, when is enough enough? I mean, how many years are we going to make jokes of it and make light of it when we know that they are real? Our systems are corrupt. It doesn't make sense. Jeffrey Epstein, floodgates. It's all about to come pouring out. Make sure you guys, I want to say thank you guys for watching. Make sure you guys watch us on YouTube next week. Or you can watch our other videos on YouTube. Make sure you watch us again next week at 6 p.m. on Thursday, like we always are. If you got something you want me to talk about, let me know. If you want me to, if you want to sponsor me, if you want to sponsor the show, feel free to hit me up and let me know, and I'll tell you all the details about it. It's actually really inexpensive, as low as $10 each week. There you go. It doesn't get much better than that. Throw your business in there. We got you. What else am I missing, Mr. Rush? You weren't supposed to say the name.
I thought you said it didn't matter.
I thought we was going to call them the little barrel drinks.
Little barrel drinks.
Yeah. You know, we were talking about this. So all of the flavors are really good, right? I mean, they're good enough. They're juices. But that grape one, how do y'all feel about that grape one? Don't it taste like chemical? Don't it taste like they're trying to poison you? My whole fridge, we drink all the grape ones sit there. And I told my kids the other day, they were like, Daddy, we don't want to drink it. It tastes funny. And I'm like, it can't taste that funny. I'll just leave them. I'll drink the grape ones. I've drank like 1.5 of them and poured the other half out. It tastes like chemical. I don't know what to think about it. Thank you guys for watching. We will see you next week. So make sure you hit that like and share for me. And go to the YouTube page, search us, Just Talking with Johnathan Lewis on YouTube, and hit the subscribe button. I think that's about it. We'll see you next week.